Disinterested or uninterested? Farther or further? Allowed or allowed? English certainly can be a confusing language, even for us native speakers. Many native speakers get confused between who or whom, farther and further, especially and specially. So don't worry if they've been confusing you. You are certainly not alone. But never fear, guys, as I've been doing my research and I'm armed with the latest information from the Cambridge English Dictionary. So today we are going to clarify the differences in meaning between 20 of the most confusing words in the English language that bemuse, baffle and befuddle even us native speakers. I'm Sabrah from Love English, your British University English teacher. If you haven't already, guys, hit the bell, subscribe and also check us out on social media. So number one, disinterested or uninterested. Basically the word you want most of the time is uninterested. This is really the opposite of interested. If you're uninterested, you're not engaged, you just have no interest in that thing, so you are uninterested. However, disinterested is slightly different. It's much more used for when somebody doesn't have a vested interest in something, meaning that they have no bias, it won't affect them, they don't have any power in the situation, so therefore they don't care about it. It's really that they don't care because they don't have any particular interest in that situation. So often it's used in legal cases and business cases and things like that, where the person doesn't have that vested interest, so it's not going to affect them. No matter what happens, it won't affect them. If you think of disinterested as being more like indifferent, you'll be on the right lines. Whereas if you think of uninterested as not interested, literally not interested, not engaged, not showing any kind of feelings of interest, then that would be uninterested. Let's look at some examples. The ex-husband cannot be thought of as a disinterested party in the sale of the house. So obviously he would have some sort of interest here in the sale of the house as the couple were married. The situation could affect him, so he can't be considered as a disinterested party. Now let's look at uninterested. She was uninterested in boys until she was 18. The dog is uninterested in his new toy. He has no feelings of engagement in that. I used to get this one wrong all the time. This is the difference between fright and freight. They are both nouns. A fright is to be scared. It's the noun of to be frightened, to frighten. So to have fear. If you have a fright, something gives you a feeling of fear. For example, I had a fright when I saw a ghost. However, freight actually means goods. So products which are transported from one country to another or one location to another, and they are commercial goods usually. So things to be sold in shops or things for industrial purposes. And we have specific vehicles for these. So we call it often a freight train. Can also be by plane or ship. Now, when I used to see the freight train, I used to get confused and think it was a fright train and think it was something connected to being scared or Halloween. I used to think it was very strange that it was called a freight train. Next one. These two are homophones and they're both adjectives. Allowed means permitted. So if you say this is allowed or this is not allowed, this means this is okay, you can do this or you can't. For example, we might say, my parents don't allow me to stay out late, or Leilas are not allowed to eat ridiculous amounts of chocolate. It's not permitted. However, allowed like this means audibly, so others can hear. So when we talk about reading aloud, we mean read so that everyone else can hear. Use your voice so it's loud enough that everyone else can hear. Read aloud. So they're homophones, but very different in the meaning. Next one. Farther and further. So farther refers to actual distance between objects, so physical difference, whereas further is more about metaphorical distance or about something which is additional or more. So that's why we say furthermore, we don't say farthermore, for example. These can also be adjectives or adverbs depending on the context. So let's look at some examples. The green car is farther away than the yellow car. The cafe at the farther end of the shopping centre is cheaper. Now, further is much more metaphorical. For example, we really need to go further into this matter. It means we really need to research more. Or we might say she gave no further details about the action that will be taken. Further can also be used to mean beyond. So we can say things like the further field. This is not to say that it never refers to distances, but when it does, it's much more metaphorical. It's more about the need to go beyond or the need to go on without specifying the particular distance. So we could say, I've got much further to go before I can stop for the night, meaning I've got to go on more. Next one, breathe and breath. Breathe and breath. One is a verb, one is a noun. To breathe is the verb. I love breathing fresh air. Breath is the noun. A breath of fresh air. Or we might say, oh, I can't catch my breath. Or, oh, she isn't breathing. Next one, stationary and stationary. They are homophones. And basically the difference in spelling differentiates them. Stationary with ARY refers to something being still, immobile, fixed. For example, the train is stationary, means it's not moving. However, stationary with the ERY ending is things that we use for the office, school, usually related to writing. So for example, pens, paper, rubbers, pencil sharpeners, that would all be classed as stationary. For example, in England we have stationery shops like WH Smith's, and some people love buying stationery before they start school or a new course or something like that. So it's a simple difference in the spelling that differentiates the meaning. There are actually 3 words that we need to talk about here as they all cause confusion. So live, live and alive. So first of all, live is a verb. I live here. Yes, she lives here. This is where I live. Yes, it's a verb, quite simple. However, live with the I pronunciation is normally an adjective. It refers to something being live at this moment, as in it's got life in it now. So for example, we often talk about live TV. It means the action is happening now. It's not pre-recorded. They're recording it right now. So this is not live. I'm not doing this live. Another example would be a live vaccine, which means that the tiny amount of bacteria you get, which will vaccinate you against the disease, is not dead. It's actually live. Or we can say that a wire is live. A live wire, meaning it's got electricity in it. So it's related to alive, but alive is for plants, animals, and people. And it means not dead. So for example, she's alive means she's not dead. Or, oh, the plant's not alive. It means the plant has died. Next one, especially and specially. These 2 are both adverbs, and there is just a small difference between them. Basically, especially means particularly or above all, but specially can also mean particularly too. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. We use especially when we're actually kind of inferring that we prefer something more than others, or that we think something is better than it usually is. In some ways, it's when we're inferring comparison. Let's look at some examples. She loves flowers, especially roses. She loves them above all. She loves them much more than she does the others. I thought the team played especially well this evening. They played better than they normally do. I'm comparing. I'm especially grateful to all my friends and family who have supported me. I'm more grateful than I am normally. I'm particularly grateful. So in all those cases there, we can't use specially. We talk about specially more when something has a particular purpose. For example, she had the dress made specially for the awards ceremony. It has a particular purpose. It was made for a special occasion, or specially trained dogs are used to help blind people get around. So here it's emphasising the fact that they've got a special purpose. It's not an special purpose, it's a special purpose. That's why we call people specialists. We might say they are specially trained to help you with this. It's much more about the specific purpose. However, there are some cases where we can use both. usually when something is for a special occasion. For example, I made these especially for you, or I made them specially for you. Here we can actually use either, but for slightly different reasons. Especially is referring to I made them for this special occasion more than the others, and especially is I made them for this specific purpose. Who or whom? Oh my goodness, lots of my students have asked me about this over the years, and it's actually a very simple difference. The thing that makes it confusing is that we don't really use whom. It's very formal, and so it's kind of become in some ways disused, and who is acceptable in many cases these days. However, grammar sticklers would say that we should in fact be using whom more. Basically, these are both pronouns, but one refers to the subject, so it can replace the subject, and one refers to the object, so it can replace the object. This is the only difference. Let's look at how who works in a sentence. Who handed it to her? Who handed it to her? So the subject does the action. Who gave this to her? So who did the action? My friend who lives in Australia is coming to visit. My friend who lives in Australia is coming to visit. She's coming to visit. So it's a subject. She's the one that's visiting. She's doing the action. Now with whom is used for the object. So who is replacing the object? The person who is receiving the action. They're not doing the action, they're receiving the action. For example, he is the one whom I love. He receives my love. You may have seen at the beginning of formal letters that we write to whom it may concern. To which person does this concern? It concerns him. So he's going to receive the action. So it's where we can replace the object. Okay, the final one. These again are homophones. Q and Q. And Q is a crazy word, but as you know, we say it Q. So AQ is a prompt, usually for an actor, of when they have to arrive or say something or something like this. So we would say, well, her cue is when she hears the music, she knows she's got to enter. So when she hears the music, that's when she knows that she has to do something. That's her cue. And many performers will refer to cues. But we also use it in general everyday life. We might say she arrived right on cue. It's at the right time she arrived. Or right on cue, the sun came out. It's almost like saying perfect timing, on cue, at the right time. So it's really like a signal or a prompt. So we might say, when I saw lots of people losing their jobs at the company, it was a cue for me to start looking for a new job. So we might say, when I saw lots of people losing their jobs at the company, it was a cue for me to start looking for another job as well. A cue like this can be a noun or a verb. It means to line up and wait for something. So we might say, oh, stuck in a queue at the post office. Or the British love queuing. Very different to queue spelt like this. Right everyone, we've come to the end of looking at our 21 confusing words in English and the differences between them. I do hope this has clarified a lot of your doubts. If you do still have doubts, please ask me below in the comments, and also try to use any of these in a sentence below. You can try and compare them and I can check that for you. I challenge you to use a sentence with any of these pairs here for homework. As always, thank you very much for watching, and if you especially like this video, then do give it a thumbs up. We'll see you soon on Love English. Bye bye.